Hey everyone, can you hear me? Let me mute my computer here.
GS Labs. Book your test online.
And I'm going to mute my phone.
Receive a test of your choosing from.
So I'm going to try and keep up with the chat on my phone so that I don't delay my broadcast because my internet is fairly slow. No, the chickens are all sleeping, so they're not going to be in the video, unfortunately. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to try and keep up with the chat as well, which may be difficult.
So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to try and...
All right, let's see if we can get this here. So I've got my other browser open here, and I'm going to be sharing some of my garden planning tools that I use. And so this is my first live stream, so bear with me. Okay. So the garden, one of the garden planning tools I use is this one here by Mother Earth News. And it used to be a Flash app, but I'm not sure if you're aware, but Adobe no longer supports Flash. So anything that used Flash in the past no longer is supported. And I think they've blocked everything that uses Flash. So everything has been converted over to a different programming. So I'm not sure what they're using now, but it's no longer Flash. But this is a view of my garden plan for this year. And this is kind of a small view, but you can click on View Plan for full size. And you can get a closer look at the garden plan this way. And I've got several, mostly raised beds. So each one of these little squares is a raised bed. And I do crop rotation, so I don't plant the same thing in every bed every year. And hopefully... Oh, so you like my sauce holder back there. So yeah, I think it's gonna be difficult to keep up with the chat while I'm sharing my screen. But this is my garden plan for this year. And this tool is pretty much a drag and drop type application. So you just click on whatever onions that you want and you drop it into the plan. And you can select the variety from a drop-down list. And if they don't have the variety that you have in the drop-down list, you can add anything that you want. So this is something I've been using for the last, I think, 8 years. They do have a free trial period. I think it's 7 days or so. But if you don't, after the 7-day trial, I think it's around $30 a year. So I really like this app for planning the garden. Let's see.
So here we go.
So to begin,
Let's see who else what we have in the chat here. Paula is in stereo. Are you still hearing me in stereo? I think I have everything muted, so you shouldn't hear anything, any echoes. Okay, so we're good. All right, so that's my garden plan. If anybody has any questions about that, let me know. And it is a published plan, so I can actually share this plan with anybody. And I'll put a link to my plan in the description of this video, and you can check it out if you want. And then the other tool that I use a lot is spreadsheets. So I use spreadsheets all the time at work. And so I'm just kind of a spreadsheet guru, I guess. But I have spreadsheets for my garden plan, and that's what I use to plan out what I'm going to start at what times. So this here is my 2021 garden plan. So I've got the type of seeds that I'm going to be planting, and then I've also got a column for the variety. and then the date that I'm going to be starting those. And anything that's in green here, I've already started. So you can see I'm up to, I direct sowed the poppy seeds, but these are all the seeds that I've started so far this year. So I've got garlic here that was started back in November. So it was technically last year. And then I started some kale, arugula, spinach, thyme, celery, onions. And then what I'm going to be going over in more detail today is some of the pepper varieties that I'm growing. So I've got lots of Chinense varieties, a few crosses, and Baccatums. And I'm also trying some chicory this year. And then mentioned the poppies. So poppies are best direct sown. So I just kind of scattered those around in my wildflower patch. So hopefully some of those come up, but I've got a few different varieties of those. And then onions, if anyone's growing onions, the best time to start those is in January. So if you haven't started your onions yet, you may want to do that. Rotating, the crop rotation that I mentioned, Jimmy's got a question there. Yeah, well, for one thing, crop rotation is great for pest control, because if you plant the same thing in the same place every year, the pests are attracted to that location, especially brassicas. So if you don't know, there's a lot of pests that like brassicas. So if you grow them in the same place every year, that's really not good for the brassicas because the pests will be attracted to that location. So it's good to transfer it in different places. And then also the nutrients. So different plants have different nutrient requirements. So if you plant, for example, the beans are a good nitrogen fixer. So beans add nitrogen to your soil. So you want to, after you grow beans in a location, you might want to plant something that has a high nitrogen requirement, like any kind of greens, like lettuces have a high nitrogen requirement. So that's a good thing to plant after you grow beans. Make it wane. So you're asking, let's see, is that Make It Wane sauce Grogu is holding? Is that his name? I don't watch that show, so I'm not sure. Did they finally give him a name? But yes, that is a Make It Wane sauce that he's holding. And unfortunately, Make It Wane can't stay for very long. Let's see. We have someone asking about my mead videos. Yeah, so I have started making mead the last, I think I'm going on 3 years now. So yeah, I'll definitely have to make some more mead videos. I think I've only got 1 or 2 right now. But I have been making some mead every year. I've got a coffee mead that's aging right now, which is a fun one that I made this year. Do I have a giant family? No, I don't have a giant family. It's just me and Mark. So we do a lot of selling. I don't go to farmers markets, but I do sell a lot of stuff at work. And I also process a lot of our produce into, I do a lot of canning, fermenting, dehydrating. So that is some of the stuff that we do with the produce that we grow. So starting onions from seed. Yeah, I just recently did a video on that. And actually I do have an update here. So this is my Elsa Craig onions that I started. So I think they're about 2 weeks old now. But this is how tall they're getting. So once they get to about 4 inches, so another couple inches, I'll give them a trim. And I just use some scissors to cut them basically in half. And then I'll just keep trimming them until I transplant them. So yeah, they'll stay in this container until I transplant them. So you can really sow these densely in a container before you transplant them. So they don't take up much space at all. Okay, so we have a few people interested in mead. So yeah, the next time I make a mead, I will be sure to video that. Okay, let's go back to our screen sharing. see, I am still sharing my screen, right? Yep. Let me go to a bigger thing here. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, this is my seed starting plan. And I've got a little pivot table over here that shows all the different types of seeds that I'm growing and how many different varieties there are. I'm not going to get to the capsicum annuums tonight because there's just so many of those. But you can see I've got 21 varieties of capsicum annuums that I'm growing. And those are primarily sweet peppers. So that's a lot more than I usually grow. But I'm just kind of interested in those this year for some reason. The capsicum Chinense varieties didn't do that well for me last year, so I'm kind of decreasing the amount of those that I grow this year. But we've got lots of, and also tomatoes, I'm also growing quite a few varieties of. I've got about 20 varieties that I'll be growing this year. But you can see, and I'll post a link to my spreadsheet as well, so you can see what varieties that I'm growing and when I'll be starting those. But the tomatoes, I'm not going to be starting those till probably March. So that is, and I've also got the cherry tomatoes, and I'll start those a little bit later than the larger varieties. And I'm growing lots of flowers this year. Let's see. So BD Beats, hey, P3 did a hot sauce giveaway, I think. I'm not sure what they're talking about there. But yeah, tonight I'm going to be doing the calendar giveaway, and I'll also include some seeds with that. So I'll do either pepper seeds or tomato seeds, whichever the winner prefers. So we've got 26 people watching now. So I'll do the giveaway here probably in a little bit. But remember, if you haven't entered the giveaway, go to that link and put a comment there, and I will pick somebody from that list. Hey, Amanda. So Amanda is another channel member, and she needs a wrench. So I will add that. There you go. You should have a wrench now. All right, so let's get back to the garden plan here. So also I have some other tabs in my garden plan. So I've got my flower list. So this kind of tells me the timing for each of the various types of flowers that I'm growing because they all have different timings, 10 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. And the last frost date here is April 30th. But for the most part, people wait until after Mother's Day to plant anything that's really sensitive to cold. So anything like tomatoes, peppers, and stuff like that. We wait till Mother's Day. But all my timing is based on that date. So I just kind of selected the start dates for these various flowers based on that. And then here is my pepper list, and I have it kind of color-coded based on the different types of peppers. So I've got the Baccatums here. I've only got 3 of those this year. We've got the Chinense varieties, and then some of the crosses that I'm growing. And the crosses, I have them labeled as crosses because these are the crosses that are like a Chinense crossed with a Baccatum or an Annuum crossed with the Baccatum. So that's kind of what I define as a cross. And then we've got all of our Annuums here. And then I've got some additional details as far as if there's any, the Scoville heat unit, if that's known, then I'll put that here in the notes, and any other details that I have in there. And then I've also got the location. So some of these I'm going to be growing in the greenhouse, and then some of these I'm going to be growing in the raised beds outside of the greenhouse. And I'm also participating in the Pepper in a Can contest this year, and I always do 3 cans. And this year, the cans that I'm going to be doing is the Kangstar Linzo is going to be one. And then I've got the Calico. And the Calico is one of those peppers that's got variegated colored leaves. That's kind of fun. And then the last one is going to be the yellow Zamora. So that's the other one that I'm going to be growing in a can. All right, let's see if there's any more questions. Yeah, Excel is a really good skill to have, and I'm sure you can find some tutorials and training videos out there to learn it some more. But I'm using, this isn't actually Excel, it's very similar, but this is a free Google Spreadsheets thing, so you can actually share your Google Spreadsheets with other people. So like I mentioned, I'll share this link to my garden plan in the description of this video after we're done, and you can check it out if you want. And then I've also got my tomato list here. So these are all the, I've got 20 varieties of tomatoes. We've got the larger varieties, the cherry tomatoes, and then I've also got 3 dwarf tomatoes. And the tumbling toms are, they're more of a tomato that you would put in a hanging basket, and that's what I plan to do with those. So I like to do a couple tomatoes in hanging baskets every year. So I've got a yellow, and I think the other one is a red. So those are going to go in the hanging baskets. All right, so who's here to see peppers? So I'm going to be sharing some additional information about the peppers that I've started so far. And that is going to be the Baccatum, Chinense, and cross varieties. So those are the ones that I've started so far. And we've got 13 of those. Nope, 12 of those. I haven't started my pepper in a can peppers yet. So we've got 12 varieties that I've started so far. And I'm going to be showing you some pictures of each of those. So we'll start with the Chinense varieties. So the first one is the Cookie Monster bubblegum. And if you're not familiar with bubblegum peppers, those are the ones that have, whoop, what happened? There it is. So you can see this pepper. It's got yellow going all the way up the stem, and the calyx, which is this part that's kind of around the base of the stem. So that's what they define as a bubblegum. It's anything that the color extends up into the stem. So this one's called the Cookie Monster bubblegum. And I don't think I have a lot of information on that one. I received the seeds from an Obsessive Gardener, and this is one of his videos that he did last year. But I've always wanted to grow a bubblegum pepper, and I grew a bubblegum cross last year. It was crossed with a Tabasco pepper, but that pepper ended up not being a true bubblegum because it didn't have that color that bled into the stem. So I'm looking forward to growing this one this year. It looks pretty cool, and it's supposed to be pretty hot too. Let's see. Jimmy took an Excel class, but it didn't help. Fuzzy Hentai Panda asked if I've tried any of the dwarf tomato project varieties. I've heard of the dwarf tomato project, but I don't think I've tried any of those varieties. For the most part, most of my tomatoes and peppers come from seed swaps. So I haven't actually, if I do have any of those, it probably came from a seed swap. So I'm not really sure if I have any or not. Let's see. Hey, Masilla. Sorry you can't stay. So Masilla is Learn to Grow. She's here in the Pacific Northwest as well, and has a pretty good Instagram and YouTube channel. Enjoy your dinner. All right, let's get back to here. So we've got this one. So that's the Cookie Monster BBG. And also, I wanted to mention in my garden plan, I've also got a column for sprouted. So this is the date that I sprouted the seeds. So all the seeds that I've started have sprouted except for my Gochu lemon drop cross, which I'll talk about in more detail in a little bit. But most of them germinated within a few days, and I start my peppers in a paper towel. So once they germinate in the paper towel, then I transfer them to potting mix. And I've got a few videos on YouTube on how I do that process. But the Cookie Monster took 4 days to germinate. It was actually one of the first ones that germinated. All right, and let's go check out the next one. So the next Chinense variety I'm growing is the Fatalii. So Fatalii is one of the more well-known varieties of Chinense peppers. And this is actually the variety that's chosen for one of the contest peppers on the Pepper Lovers community in Facebook. So if you're on the Facebook Pepper Lovers community, be sure to grow the Fatalii and enter that contest. And basically the winner is going to be the person that can get the most pods off of their plant. So just keep track of how many pods that you harvest off your plant. And then at the end of the season, we'll see who has harvested the most pods from their pepper plant. And the winner, I'm not sure what they'll get this year. It's usually a gift certificate of seeds or something like that. But I was going to grow this one regardless of the contest, so I was glad that they chose this one. I think they're also doing a King Star Lemon Starburst contest, if I remember correctly, which I'm not growing this year, but I have grown that one a few times before. But I'm looking forward to the Fatalii. It's supposed to be a really good one for making hot sauce. But that one, let's see, the Fatalii, let's see if I have any other information on that one. It's 125 to 325,000 Scoville units, and it was developed in Africa. And apparently I didn't realize this until the other day, but it's actually a relative of the habanero. So I think it was made with the habanero crossed with something, is how the Fatalii was developed. Let's see. So Terry has 5 Fatalii peppers that sprouted. I think I started 5 as well. And I think all 5 of mine also sprouted. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I also have a list here of where I got my seeds from. So the Fatalii came from RIPX 510, and that is Gage on Facebook. He's been a member of the Pepper Lovers community for quite a while, but that's where I got my seeds from for that. And I think all of my pepper seeds that I'm growing this year came from seed swaps. I do buy some occasionally, but it just turns out this year all of them were from seed swaps. Do I have heating mats for sprouting? Yes. I definitely have heat mats that I use for sprouting peppers and a lot of my seeds because our house is really cold in the wintertime. So at night it gets down to under 50 degrees, which you're not going to sprout much of anything at that temperature. So we definitely use heat mats for most of our seed sprouting. And I do keep the heat mats on the peppers even after they've sprouted. So I've got it set right now to, I think, 75 degrees. But when I'm sprouting them, I usually set it to close to 80 degrees. So yes, definitely using heat mats. So BD Beats just started some seeds. Awesome. All right, Obsessive Gardeners here. Okay, let's get back to the next one. So yeah, we've got Fatalii. So that's one of the ones I'm looking most forward to. I did grow a red Fatalii last year. I'm not sure how the red was made, but a lot of people that are Fatalii lovers say that the red isn't really a true Fatalii. So I'm not sure how close the red is in taste to the yellow. But the red one did really well for me last year. I got a lot of peppers off of that plant. So I'm hoping the yellow one will be as productive as the red one was for me. So Drift, it says the yellow one is much better. And Jay Dremner is in North Idaho. So yeah, May 15th, that's about when we usually plant stuff outside, just to be safe. Terry's asking about a germination chamber instead of doing a heat mat in trays. No, I haven't done a germination chamber. I do grow figs as well, and I've kind of got a fig rooting chamber that I use. So it's got a heat mat inside of a tote. So it's like one of those big totes that you get from Lowe's. And then I put the fig cuttings inside the tote with the heat mat. So it's kind of like a germination chamber, but I haven't done anything like that for other stuff. So Nate is a fan of Fatalii powder with garlic. So I've made a lot of pepper powders in the past, but I've never tried mixing it with other ingredients. But that's something that I'm interested in doing. All right, let's get back to the seeds. So the yellow Fatalii is that one. And then the next one is going to be the Kang Star Texas chocolate bonnet. So let's bring up a video. So this is what the Texas chocolate bonnet looks like. And let me go back and see what the cross is made up of. So obviously Kang Star created that cross. And Kang Star is basically the creator of the pepper lovers community on all the different platforms. It started out on Google+, and Google+, as you probably know, is now gone. So the group kind of split up into different groups. So now we're on Facebook, Reddit, MeWe, and I think Discord. So we're kind of spread out all over the place. A lot of people don't like Facebook, so they've got these other groups. But I think the Facebook group is probably the largest. But anyway, Kang Star, he's a popular pepper grower on YouTube. And he created a lot of different crosses, but this one is called the Texas Chocolate Bonnet. And it was created with a cross between his Star Racha, which is a cross, and he crossed that with the chocolate bonnet. So the Star Racha is a cross between the Scotch bonnet and the Reaper. So you can see it does kind of have a Reaper-ish shape. It's supposed to be really hot, but he ended up with a pheno, I think it was last season, that had no heat at all, which is really, really weird. So he saved some seeds from his no heat Texas chocolate bonnet, and he sent me some seeds of that. So these are the seeds that I'm growing from his Texas chocolate bonnet with no heat. So I'm not sure if the one that I grow is going to have heat or not, but I guess we'll find out. But I thought the shape was really cool, and the color is actually kind of more, I don't know, it doesn't look really chocolatey. It looks more kind of a dark maroon red color. But I'm interested in seeing how that's going to come out. So that is the other one that I'm growing. So BD Beat says Rob Blumberg sent him the seeds of chocolate version of that variety 2 seasons ago. Let's see. So Krista asked, "How are those? Has anyone tried it?" I'm not sure what you're asking about, Krista. Are you talking about the chocolate bonnets or the crim? Huh. If you're talking about the Texas chocolate bonnets that anyone's tried. I'm not sure. I know people have tried his Texas chocolate bonnet, but I'm not sure if anyone else has tried the one that he has that had no heat to it. So most of the Texas chocolate bonnets are really hot. So I think this is the only one that didn't have heat. And this was just, oh, he actually posted this in 2019. But I think the 2020 version that he grew had no heat. So I'm not sure if anyone has tried that besides himself. All right. And then next we have, let's see, the Moruga Red Monster. So the Moruga Red Monster is another one that is really hot. So this is I think Moruga is one of the hottest peppers out there. I can't remember if it's hotter than the Reaper or not, but it's pretty much up there. But the source of this one is Refining Fire Chilies. But I got it from a seed swap with Twin Cities peppers. And actually, it wasn't a seed swap. He had sent me a package with a bunch of peppers in it. And I saved the seeds from the peppers that he sent me. But he said this one was one of his most productive pepper varieties that he grew last season. So I decided to give that one a try. But apparently that one is a cross with a 7-pot brown and a Moruga Scorpion. And it's from South America, I guess. So that one should be very hot. And we'll see if it's as productive for me as it was for him. But all of my Chinense varieties are going to be grown in the greenhouse. So they require more heat and a longer season than most other varieties. So all those I'm going to be growing in the greenhouse. Let's see. So all the peppers that I got from Twin Cities Peppers, he sent me like, I don't know, probably 10 different varieties that he grew. And I put them all in hot sauce. So I make a lot of fermented hot sauces, and I put all of those peppers in hot sauces. So I didn't bother trying it. I don't have a very high heat tolerance. Okay, Obsessive Gardener, looks like you got to go. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so it's 6:30. Well, let's see. I'm going to finish going through the Chinense varieties, and then I'll do my giveaway. So these are those guys. And then the next one we have is called Peachy. And Peachy, let's see if it comes up here. So I couldn't find a lot of information on Peachy. This is one that I got from Bill Beckham. I'm not sure if he is on tonight, but Bill Beckham is also a member of the Pepper Lovers community. And he said he got the seeds from Tony Sherwood, who does a lot of pepper growing, and he sells his seeds also. But this is the picture that he sent me of what he calls the Peachy. And he said it was one of his favorite peppers, so he's going to be growing a lot of them this year, I guess. So he sent me some of his seeds, and I figured I would give those a try. But all I could get out of that one, let's see, he said it's a cross between the Carboruga Red and the Trinidad Moruga White. And they are isolated seeds, so they shouldn't be crossed with anything else. So the one challenge you have with getting seeds from seed swaps is that people a lot of times don't isolate their peppers. So they could have crossed with whatever, and even I don't isolate any of my peppers either. So they could have easily crossed with something else that I grew next to it. So a lot of times when you get seeds from seed swaps, you don't actually get what it's supposed to be, which is kind of half the fun. A lot of times I grow stuff and it's not what it's supposed to be, it's kind of fun to see what you end up with. But this Peachy pepper is apparently isolated. And that is the cross that it's made up of. So I thought I would give that one a try. It looks kind of interesting and a nice color. Let's see. So Buy My Records bought some seeds at Baker Creek. Yeah, Baker Creek is awesome. I love their seeds, and I always buy some of their seeds every year. So So Terry is asking if I grow my peppers in pots or greenhouse or in ground. So my peppers, I don't grow really any of them in pots other than the ones that are for the pepper in a can challenge. So obviously the pepper in a cans are in sort of a pot. But as far as all the rest of the peppers, I grow them either in raised beds outside of the greenhouse or in the greenhouse. So I mentioned before, in the greenhouse, I always grow the Chinense varieties because they require a longer season. And then I also grow a lot of Annuums. And I'll grow half of the annuums in the greenhouse and the other half outside. So I don't have enough room in the greenhouse to grow all of my peppers in there. So I just have to pick which ones to grow outside. Hey, Elena. Yeah, the sugar tangerine splash is going to be an interesting one. And I will be talking about that one and showing some pictures a little bit later of that variety. Let's see. Okay, so we got the Peachy. And then the last Chinense variety I'm growing is the Pimenta Puma. So this one is kind of, I don't know if you would consider it an ornamental variety because it's really pretty looking, but it's kind of a mix of purple and yellow. But it's really, really colorful. But it's also actually very hot. So the Pimenta Puma I got from Doug Ports, and he's also pretty much most of these people are in the pepper lovers community on Facebook that I got these from. But the Pimenta Puma is 300 to 400,000 Scoville units, and it's not for sure known what it's crossed with, but it's most likely a cross of the Pimenta Denede and a Habanero. And apparently it's from Italy. So that's pretty much all I know about the Pimenta Puma, but it's really very pretty. So I'm looking forward. At first I thought it was an Annuum variety because most ornamentals are Annuums. And it doesn't look like it's a hot pepper, but apparently it is pretty hot. So BD Beats has grown those before. Hey, Matsutaki. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so the Pimenta Puma apparently has dark colored, I think I've seen dark colored leaves, but there's not a lot. So here's some here that have some dark colored leaves. So I think that might be the only pepper I'm growing this year that has the dark purple leaves. So that's another kind of ornamental type quality. Okay, so I think it's time for a giveaway. If you haven't entered the giveaway yet, you better do it now. There's the link because I'm getting ready to pick a winner. So this is going to be for my garden calendar. And I've got one here. Let's see. So here is the calendar. These are all photos that I took over the last 2 seasons. So enter that giveaway for a chance to win. I've only got a few of these left. Yeah, last year I grew a couple varieties that had dark colored leaves. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the comment picker. And I mentioned in the video that you don't have to be present to win. But hopefully the winner is. So let's see how many comments we have. We've got 36 comments. And I filtered out duplicate users. So if you commented a bunch of times, it's only going to count once. So has everybody entered? So Driftit is asking what my favorite sweet pepper is. That's a good question. Last year, I grew quite a few sweet peppers that were really good. The Violet Sparkle is probably, that might be my favorite. And it's a really beautiful pepper too. I was going to grow it again this year, but I've got a bunch of other ones that I wanted to try. So I typically, if you know me very well, I typically grow different varieties of peppers every season. And there's a couple exceptions that I grow every year, but for the most part, I grow a different variety of peppers every single year. But yeah, Violet Sparkle is up there. Apple Crisp was another really good one that I grew last year. Both of those were really productive. Nate asks, what's a sweet pepper? So I do like a lot of super hot peppers too, but I don't have the heat tolerance to eat them raw. So all of my hot peppers go into hot sauces or powders. Italian Marconi is one of Driftit's favorite peppers. I've never had that one. So yeah, I think I've had sweet apple before. I didn't know it was a paprika type though. All right, let's see if anybody else has got here. Get YouTube comments. Okay, so we've got 37 comments now. Is everybody entered that wants to enter? Matsutaki asks if I've tried Aconcagua. Nope, I've not tried that one, and I have never heard of that one. It sounds interesting. Let's look it up and see what it looks like. So Aconcagua is a mountain. So that looks like a nice big pepper. Looks like you can get it at Pepper Joe's. Has anyone else tried that one? So Krista is asking about my favorite tomato to grow. And I think a lot of you know my favorite tomato. That's the Berry's Crazy Cherry. So that one is a yellow cherry tomato that is super, super, super productive. I think that's why they call it crazy, because it produces a crazy amount of cherry tomatoes. And it's also super sweet. I think it's actually sweeter than Sun Gold, to be honest. So I like it even better than Sun Gold. And yep, Phantom's Portal likes Paul Robeson. As far as larger size tomatoes, Paul Robeson is probably one of my favorites, as well as Japanese Black Trifle is another really good one. All right, let's go ahead and pick our winner here. So I'm refreshing the comments. 37, okay. Let's see. All right, where's the, okay. Start raffle and pick random winner. Here we go. And the winner is MON. I don't think I've seen that person in the chat. But the comment is very helpful videos for Pacific Northwest gardening. So it sounds like we've got a winner from the Pacific Northwest. So I will be, is Mon here? I'll see if I can get a hold of Mon and get their contact information. Yep, Mon is here. Congratulations. So if you can send me a message either on, if you go to my About page on YouTube, you can get some contact information and send me your address and I'll get that sent out to you. Grow goat bag for sauce. They're huge. So goat bag must be a tomato variety. I haven't heard of that one. Goat bag. Let's look that up. So that's kind of an interesting shaped tomato. I'll have to see if I can get some seeds of that one. That looks interesting. Goat bag is from Renaissance Farms. So it sounds like a few people might have grown that one before. Okay, so we got through the Chinense varieties of peppers. So let's take a look at the Baccatum varieties. So I've only got 3 varieties of Baccatums that I'm growing this year. And probably the most popular pepper variety that people are looking for this year is the Sugar Rush Striped. So most people have probably heard of the Sugar Rush Peach. There's also Sugar Rush Red. There's Sugar Rush Cream. So there's a few different variations of the Sugar Rush. But the striped version appeared maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's not believed to be a cross with anything. It seems to be something that just came up I think Mark Zamora actually got the first variation of it. So he saved seeds and then sent it out to various people a couple years ago. So I got seeds from it, I think 2 years ago, from I think JDS. I think I got it from a few different people. But I grew it 2 years ago and saved a bunch of seeds from it. And I didn't grow it last year, but I wish I had, because I wish I had more seeds of it. But I ended up selling all my extra seeds on Etsy last year, and they sold within 24 hours. So everybody was looking for these seeds because if you know, what's his name? Johnny Scoville. He's a huge pepper reviewer on YouTube, and he got a hold of these peppers from somebody, and he did a review of them. And after that, everybody wanted them. So I think I posted them for sale maybe a week after his video was posted, and they just sold out super fast. But I think there's still a few pepper seed growers out there that have some seeds available. Pepper Donkey might have some, and I think these are from Fatalii, Big Dog Peppers, and I think Fatalii Seeds also has some. But yeah, this is an awesome variety. So it's very ornamental, it's very productive, but it tastes very similar to the Sugar Rush Peach, but it's just, the color is just crazy. This one here is a picture that I posted. Some of my peppers ended up kind of two-tone, where half of the pepper was red and the other half was kind of a speckled peach and red. I only got a few peppers off the plant that were this color, but most of them were more kind of shaped like this, where they had a lot of striping like that. But it's a really fun pepper. So if you can get your hands on some seeds, I would definitely grow that one. And yeah, bacon pepper is another name people have called it. It goes by a few different names. It's called Sugar Rush Stripey, Sugar Rush Striped, Sugar Rush Red Striped, Sugar Rush Bacon. But yeah, the fish pepper is another one that's got some striping, and I grew that one, I think 2 years ago. I grew the fish pepper. And that was another fun pepper to grow too. But yeah, that's a really good one. So I'm growing that again this year, because it's not very often I grow the same variety more than once, because there's so many varieties I want to try. But I really wanted to grow this one again because I liked it so much, and also because I wanted to get more seeds from it. So that is a Baccatum variety. And then also the other variety that was mentioned in the chat earlier is so we're calling it, let's see, let me go back to my garden plan here. The Sugar Tangerine Splash is kind of what we're calling it at the moment. But I grew the Sugar Rush Striped 2 years ago, I mentioned, and next to it, I grew the Ahi Tangerine, which is a Baccatum cross from Susan Garza, and she's the admin over on the Miwi pepper lovers community. So she sent me some seeds of her ahi tangerine, and I grew that next to it. And then I had someone reach out to me, Elena reached out to me, and she wanted some seeds for the ahi tangerine. So I sent her some seeds, and she's pretty local to me. So I gave her some of the ahi tangerine seeds, and she grew it out. And this is what she ended up with. So, and I think I also sent her some sugar rush stripe seeds, but she grew both of those, and the ahi tangerine ended up getting stripes. So this is what she grew. And I think she has these in like a hydroponic setup. But I thought it was really interesting. So an ahi tangerine is not supposed to have stripes like this. So I'm pretty sure that the ahi tangerine crossed with my sugar rush striped because they were grown right next to each other. So Elena sent me some of her seeds that she saved from her ahi tangerine. So I'm going to try growing those out. I've already started the seeds, and I've had a couple of them germinate already. So I'm going to be growing that out this year, and we'll see what happens with those. Hey, Permaculture Homestead. Thanks for coming. So yeah, Diane, fish peppers are pretty but very mild in heat. They do make a good powder. So that's what I did with most of my fish peppers is I dehydrated them and turned them into a powder. Hey, Chad, thanks for coming. Glad you made it too. And Ron Scott Nicky is growing the stripy peppers too. So Ron Scott Nicky is a fairly new member of our pepper lovers community, and he's challenged himself with growing all of the King Star varieties. So he's got, I don't even know, he's got almost all of them that he's growing out. So Elena, are you going to be growing some of the seeds that you saved from the ahi tangerine too this year? So Ron's got 29. I didn't even know there was that many King Star varieties, but I guess there's 29 that he's working on. All right, so let's see what else, the other Baccatums I'm growing. So Peri is another interesting one. So let's go to my garden plan. So Peri, it's kind of spelled a few different ways. Peri with an E, and also Piri with an I. And it's also known as the African bird's eye. But recently I discovered that there's at least 3 different variations. There's a capsicum annuum, a frutescens, and a Baccatum. So I've got 2 of those. I've got the Baccatum and the frutescens, and I was debating which one I should grow, but I decided on the Baccatum variety, and that one is from Nate Mitchell. So I've already got those started, and I'm having really good germination rate on those. But I wanted to show you some of the differences. Let's see. So pepper cross, Baccatums. So the Peri. So this is a Facebook group that I'm in called Guru Collective or Cultivators Collective. And someone posted this picture of the frutescens strain of the Peri. And the frutescens variety is it's smaller, kind of a little bit fat. You can see it's got a really small calyx on it and a fairly long stem, but that's the frutescens. And then the other one is a little bit different looking. So Nate sent me a picture of his for his Baccatum. So this one is unripe. I don't think he couldn't find a ripe one, but you can see it's much longer. It looks more like a kind of a Thai pepper. Let me see. I think there's another one. So if I do a Google search on Peri, you can see the different variations. So this one here is actually really kind of fat. So this is the Annuum variety of Peri Peri. So is this one here. And then here's the small one. So that must be the Frutescens. And then here's the longer ones, which are probably the Baccatums. So you can see there's a lot of different variations of the Peri Peri. And I think they taste different as well. So it was kind of a hard decision on which one I should grow this year. But in the end, I chose the Baccatum, and I might grow the Frutescens next year and kind of compare the differences. And I think Nate said he was going to grow both of them this year. I know he's got the Baccatum, and I think it's the Frutescens that he also has that he's going to try growing both of them. Hey, something about gardening. Sorry, I just picked a winner for the giveaway, so yes, you are a bit late for the giveaway. So Ron is asking what page was that. I'm not sure which page you're asking about, Ron. If you're asking about this one that I'm showing right now, this is just a Google search on Peri Peri pepper. If you were asking about the Facebook page, that was the Guru Cultivators Collective. So that is, I think it's a private, yeah, it's a private group. It's mainly about peppers, but not, people post other things once in a while, but it's primarily pepper related. Guru Cultivators Collective. I'll put it in the chat so you can try searching for it. And Phantoms likes the Japanese black trifle too. That's the tomato that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, I can't remember. I think I might be growing that this year again. I have a hard time remembering what varieties that I'm growing. Yeah, so I am growing that one again this year. So tomatoes, I like growing different varieties every year as well. I grew the Japanese black trifle, I think 4 years ago. But I decided I'm going to grow it again this year because I really liked it. Galapagan, I don't know what you're saying, something about gardening. Galapagos. Good night, Karen. Thanks for joining. All right, let's go back here. So yeah, the Peri Peri. So yeah, there's lots of different variations of the Peri Peri. And it is a popular variety for sauces as well. So I plan to make some sauce definitely with that variety. So that is all the Baccatums that I'm growing this year. And then, so that brings us to the pepper crosses. So the pepper crosses I'm growing, there's actually 3 pepper crosses. The first one is called the Ahi Lolo, and this is by Sunrise Pepper Lab. He's he does a lot of different pepper crosses, but I met him through Instagram. So this is the F1 variety of the Ahi Lolo, and then I've actually got the F4, but they all look pretty similar. This is the F3, so they're kind of a small round Baccatum variety, but he created that by crossing the Brazilian starfish, which I've grown before and was really good. So he crossed the Brazilian starfish with the habanero, and then he took that cross and crossed it with the Pimenta Branca F1. And I tried searching for the Pimenta Branca, and I couldn't really find any information on that. So it's a not very well-known cross apparently. But that is what he used to make up the Ahi Lolo. And he said it's a very mild snacking pepper. So probably really similar to Brazilian starfish if you've grown that before. And it does have almost a little bit of a starfish shape to it on the bottom there. Let's see. So something about gardening says it's a wild variety. I'm not sure if you're talking about the Peri. And Phantoms wants to grow the Violet Sparkle. Yes, definitely grow that one. It's really good. SoundQuest wants to see some more peppers. And Something About Gardening wants to know if I'm going to be doing another giveaway soon. So I'm thinking I may do one more giveaway. I'll just do a giveaway for some seeds. And I've also got some stickers. So I've got some stickers here. Let's see. There we go. So I've got these stickers. So I'll give a sticker away and some seeds. And I'll do that right after I get through the rest of my pepper crosses here. So that's the Ahi Lolo. And then I've got pepper crosses. So the chocolate, this is the, let's see. This is a Kang Star variety. Let me go back to my garden plan. This is the Kang Star Linzo, and it's the chocolate version. So there's different variations of the Linzo. I'm sure Ron is growing both of them. I think there's a red and a chocolate. But I'm going to be growing the chocolate. And the Linzo is a cross between the Thai Bird's Eye and the chocolate Scotch Bonnet. So if you've been watching Kang Star, his favorite peppers are Thai peppers and Scotch Bonnet peppers. So most of his crosses have one or the other in them. And this is just a video that he did of that cross. So you can see it's a really dark brown color. Let me change back to that. Yeah, so it's really dark brown. And he also breeds his peppers for few seeds. So he doesn't like a lot of seeds in his peppers. So he always selects the seeds from pods that have as few pepper seeds as possible. So I find that kind of interesting. So Ron's got the red, the chocolate, and the sweet Linzo. So I think I've got the red, seeds for the red. I haven't tried growing it yet, but I have seeds for the red and the chocolate. And Something About Gardening says he has the Rock Giant crossed with the Cap 1491. I'm not familiar with that cross. We don't want to see ads. All right, so there's the chocolate Linzo. And then the other cross that I'm growing is actually a cross that I created myself. And it was a cross of the Gochu pepper, which is a Korean pepper, and the lemon drop, which is a Baccatum variety. So this is the Korean Gochu is an Annuum, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, so it's an Annuum variety crossed with a Baccatum. And when you're crossing peppers, it's really difficult to a lot of times cross peppers that aren't in the same capsicum family. So it's pretty easy to cross a Baccatum with a Baccatum or an Annuum with an Annuum. But when you start playing with crossing different species like a Baccatum and an Annuum, it can be a little bit challenging. And apparently I felt up to the challenge because I decided to cross a Baccatum with an Annuum. And I chose those because, well, the Korean Gochu is one of my favorite peppers that I grow. And I just happened to decide to cross it with the lemon drop. So this is the F1. And I crossed it both ways. So I saved seeds from the Gochu and I saved seeds from the lemon drop. And this one is the seeds that I saved from the lemon drop. So these ones came out yellow like the lemon drop. And a lot of them came out with a purple tone to it. And this is some of the earlier peppers that were on the plant. They're kind of a little bit curved, but the later season peppers were more, let me see, I have a picture of the later season. Oh, yeah. So here's the later season pods that I harvested. So a lot of them retained that purple on one side. So that's the side that was facing the sun. But my lemon drop pepper never got that purple to it, so I'm not sure if it has to do with the cross. But that was the F1. So I saved seeds from these, and I'm going to grow these out this year. But let's go back to this picture. So the reverse cross, these are the peppers from the plant that I saved from the Gochu. And these pods don't look anything like the Gochu peppers that I grew. These look kind of more like Thai peppers, which I found really interesting. And also the leaf structure is very different from the Gochu pepper. So this one looks, and it was also really difficult to germinate. Most of the seeds that I saved didn't germinate at all. So this was the only plant that I was able to grow from those seeds. But these ended up turning red, and the purple, they were very purple when they were growing. And then eventually they did turn completely red. So I also saved seeds from this one. So I'm going to be growing out the F2 variation this year. Let's see. So something about gardening made a cross of the orange Santos and the golden cayenne. So Ron is asking if I cross stable varieties or F1. So I've only crossed, this is the only cross that I've ever made. So it's my first one. And both of the varieties that I crossed were pretty stable. They're not hybrids. So, I mean, you can do hybrids if you want. One of the peppers that I showed just a little while ago, they crossed it with an F1 pepper. I mean, I haven't done that myself, but people do cross those. Doesn't a stable cross take 6 to 7 generations to be stable? That's what I've heard, Ron. So F2 is probably the most unstable cross. So that's what I'm growing this year. So I did save a bunch of seeds from a bunch of different pods. So when I grow those out, I'm planning, if I get them to germinate, I'm going to plant probably at least 2 or 3 of each of those varieties, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't expect them all to look the same because F2 is very, very unstable. Is Matt on Facebook or just Reddit Discord? Matt. Oh, you're asking something about gardening. And I'm going back in the chat because I missed a few messages. So BD Beat says he grew the Sunrise and they were very tasty. And yes, if you didn't see that, I am wearing one of my Garden Life t-shirts, which are available from my store. And you can get to those from a link in all of my video descriptions if you want to see what shirts I have available. I also have a few different other things. I think I've got a face mask and some other stuff, sweatshirts, t-shirts. I think I even have some socks available too. So Elena also tried some cross. She did a ahi habanero with a miniature chocolate. So I'm not sure, are those are different capsicums, Elena? Or are they both Baccatums? Oh, BD Beats asked if I made kimchi with the Gochu peppers. So yeah, that was one of the reasons that I grew the Gochu peppers, is to make kimchi. And I didn't realize it until afterwards that all the kimchi or all the Gochu recipes that I could find used dried Gochu, which I ended up drying quite a bit of my Gochus and making powder. But I also tossed in a few fresh pods into my kimchi as well, even though the recipe didn't call for fresh peppers. But yeah, my kimchi turned out really good. And also, if you're not familiar with Gochu, Korean Gochus, There's actually a lot of different Gochu varieties. I didn't realize that until later. But the Gochu variety that I've been growing and that is my favorite is one that I got from Kang Star. So he sent me some seeds of a Gochu that he grows. And I'm not sure what specific variety it is, but it is really productive and it's a really good heat level. And I've tried, I think, at least 3 other Korean Gochus, and I don't like any of them as much as I like the one I got from Kang. So the other ones, one of them had really thin walls, so it wasn't very thick walled, which I didn't like. Another one was a lot hotter. I think that's the one that had the thin walls, so that was one I didn't like. And then I had another one that had really thick walls and really, really large peppers, but it wasn't very productive, so I didn't like that one either. So I've been trying different Korean Gochus just to see if maybe I could find the variety that I got from Kang. But so far I haven't found it. But I am trying, I think, 2 other varieties of Gochus this year that I haven't tried before. So we'll compare those and see if they're anything like the one from Kang. So Nate is about to make some radish kimchi. I did make some, I think radish kimchi is called kakdugi or something like that. I did make that, I think, 2 years ago. It has a weird name. But yeah, it was really good. Yeah, Mon, if I ever find out what variety it is that I got from Kang, I will be sure to post that. Look up amazing number 2 pepper. I don't know what that is, Aaron. So you want me to Google amazing number 2 pepper? So yes, there seems to be a pepper called Amazing 2. So it's a cayenne pepper seed. I'm not sure if this is the one you're talking about. Oh, yeah, it does say if it's Korean. Korean drying pepper, great choice for grinding into red chili powder. So that is an F1 variety, so that appears to be some kind of a cross or a hybrid. So that's probably not the one that I got from Kang since this is an F1, but it looks like it might be a good one. So George Moore is crossing an Ahi Rakoto and a Filipino Siling, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Siling Labuyo this year. That sounds like an interesting cross. I hope it works. Rakotos, if you're not familiar with those, they have black seeds. Really hard. I don't know if the Ahi Rakoto is the same as a Rakoto, but regular Rakotos are black seeds. Yeah, BB Beats. I don't know what the amazing number 1 is. That's a good question. Something about gardening is saying I should try the red crystal spike. Red crystal spike. Let's see what that is. Red crystal spike pepper. So that's a capsicum annuum. Looks like a pretty small pepper from Canada. So it looks kind of like a chili tepin, one of those wild peppers from South America, maybe. Yeah, Nate, kakdugi. I think I got that right. So kakdugi is the the radish that's basically Korean style. Okay, so let's see. I think that was the last of the pepper crosses. So yeah, so I'm growing both variations of that. And so far, I'm not having very good luck germinating those. A lot of the seeds are turning brown. So And none of the other seeds that I'm starting have turned brown except for those. So I think those are going to be a challenge to grow. All right, so that is all of the peppers that I've started so far this season. I'll be starting the annuums here next, I think it's next month. Let's see. So the annuums I'm planning on starting those middle of February. And again, I've got 21 varieties of capsicum annuums that I plan on starting. So that is quite a few. All right, so let's go ahead and do one more giveaway. And again, if you haven't entered, if you're new, oh, I need to get the link again. YouTube. Channel. All right, so I'm just getting the link for the giveaway because I don't have it in my clipboard anymore. All right, there it is. So last chance to enter the giveaway. I've already given away the calendar, and I will be giving away seeds to the next winner. And I've got a vast array of seeds. So I'll just show you my seed inventory real quick. So I've got all kinds of peppers and tomatoes, but I've also got onions, brassicas, melons, cucumbers, pretty much everything, almost everything a seed company would have. I've got tons of different flowers, all kinds of tomatoes, beans. So I'm up to, so this is another Google Sheets inventory that I keep. And I also keep track of where I got my seeds from in this column here. But I've got 1,197 entries in my seed inventory. And then I also keep track of what year that I grow the seeds. So that's what these columns are for. So if I've got next here, that's what I'm growing for that year. And I've already got a few things marked for next year because I didn't have room to grow them this year. So I've got a few things that I already have planned for next year. So I'll let whoever wins the seeds can pick from this huge seed inventory. So BD Beats is asking if my peppers will be in raised beds or in ground, and which varieties I prefer in containers. So so let me show you my garden plan again. So in my pepper list, in my garden plan, what happened there? Okay. So I've got over here in the last column, I've got the location that I plan on growing them. So I've got raised beds that I'm growing some of the peppers in. And then I've got greenhouse listed here. So I've got greenhouse-L just means the left side of the greenhouse, and then greenhouse-R is the right side of the greenhouse. And you can see here in my plan here. So this is the greenhouse, and I've got all of the Chinense varieties here on, this is considered the left side. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 varieties on the left side, and then I've got the Baccatums and the Annuums here on the right side. And I've also got a couple tomatoes that I plant in the greenhouse too. Some of the ones that take a little bit longer of a season. And then I've got some eggplants. And I haven't decided what other companion plants I'll plant in there. If you saw my fails video, I grew bush beans for the first time in the greenhouse last year. And it didn't go so well because the beans kind of took over the greenhouse. And I think that was one of the reasons why the peppers didn't do that great last year, because the beans were just shading them out. So I had to keep trimming them back so that the peppers had more space. So I'm not going to be doing that again. So if you have any ideas for stuff I can grow with the peppers that won't crowd them out, let me know. And then I've got peppers. This is a raised bed over here. So this is what I'm going to be growing some more of the annuums. So my pepper crosses, I'm going to be growing outside of the greenhouse over in this bed. So I've got quite a few peppers here. And we've got our compost bins down here. So I only have one. So everything is in raised beds except for this one bed here is in ground. So I typically grow corn and potatoes in this bed, and then a few other things on the end. So I pretty much rotate. So last year I grew corn on the right side of this bed, and this year I'm growing the corn on the left side. So I just kind of alternate which side of that in-ground space that I plant the corn and potatoes in. So yeah, I don't grow peppers in there. So it's basically either in the greenhouse or in a raised bed. And I don't typically grow them in containers except for the pepper in a can peppers, which are, I usually pick ornamental peppers for those. How do I like the cucamelon? So Krista Cannon. So yeah, I've grown the cucamelon probably the last 4 or 5 years. And I grow the cucamelon in the greenhouse. I grow it, I don't have it in my garden plan, but I grow it kind of in the left bottom corner of the greenhouse. And if you aren't aware, cucamelons create tubers underground. So it's actually a perennial. So those tubers that are underground will sprout back up the following year. So I don't even have to plant cucamelons anymore because they just keep coming back from the tubers that are in the ground. So Ron is asking how we get into the giveaway. So I posted the link, Ron. Let me post it again. So there's the link to enter the giveaway that I'll be doing in a few minutes after I get through all the questions. But yeah, Krista, I really like the cucamelon. It's got kind of a little bit of a sour cucumber taste. But I just like snacking on it. I've also tried pickling it, which is really good. Carrots. I'm not sure something about gardening is asking about carrots. That's one of the few things I direct seed in the ground. Most of my stuff I start in containers, either in the greenhouse or inside. But carrots I do sow directly in ground. And I still have some in the ground right now that I've been harvesting. So I like growing it kind of in the summer, and then I harvest it throughout the winter. Phantom likes Baby Yoda here. So yeah, I've got some hot sauce here from Make It Wayne. This is his hot orange banger. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to be doing that soon. All right. So did you enter the giveaway, Ron? Oh, I missed a question from AA Demps. How do I manage long-term seed storage? So you might see in back of me here, I've got, I use ammo cans. So this is an ammo can, and this just has my peppers in it. So these are all of my pepper seeds. I've got seeds in here. So these are all the seeds that I've saved over the last several years. And then the rest of the seeds are seeds that I've not grown yet. So I've got all of these are from seed swaps, and I've got a few store-bought packets as well. But for the most part, my peppers come from seed swaps. So yeah, all of my seeds get put in here. And as far as what I store them in, normally I'll put them in these little plastic Ziploc packets. So that's what I use for seed storage. Hey, Barnyard Chicken. So Barnyard Chicken is usually the giveaway winner queen. So if you haven't entered my giveaway yet, I already gave away the calendar, but I'm going to be doing some seeds here in a minute. So something about gardening, yeah, you just need to like the video and then enter a comment. So I'll be picking a winner from the comments. So yeah, I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 6 ammo cans of seeds, and each ammo can has different seeds in them. So for example, here's my, I don't have a lot of stickers on my tomato can, but these are my tomato seeds. And I've got a few other, I've got my root vegetables in this can as well. And then I've got a smaller, this is a smaller sized ammo can. So this is the one that I have all my herbs and flowers in. But my flower inventory has grown quite a bit this year, so I may have to get a separate can for my flowers. All right, so did everybody enter the giveaway? Let's see how many entries we have now. The website's not coming up. Here it is. Barnyard Chicken is trying to enter the giveaway, hopefully. Hey, Bayful Wolf. You missed most of it. I already gave away the calendar, and I'm just about to give away some seeds, and then I'll probably shut it down after that. No, I don't plan on doing a live show every week. I might do another one to go over my Annuum peppers in a few weeks after I get those started. Oh, filter duplicates. There we go. Why isn't it liking my video? All right, let me see if I can get the comments here. Okay. So we have 42 comments now. Did everybody get their entry in? Okay, so Ron's in. Barnyard Chicken, did you get in? Hey, Fuzzy Hentai Panda. Yep, we're doing one more giveaway. This one is for seeds. All right, something about gardening is in. So if you commented on the giveaway video, then you should be entered to win. So Ron is giving an update on his Kangstar sprouts. 13 sprouted, and he's going to be starting 16 more on February 15th. Okay, so Barnyard Chicken is in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get comments one more time. So we've got 43 comments now. Let's pick a winner. Garden State Gardener. And his comment is awesome giveaway. Congratulations. So I'll send you a link to my inventory and you can pick out a couple seeds and I'll get those sent out to you. All right, so I think that's all I have planned for this evening. Thank you all for joining. And hopefully I'll get to do another one of these in a few weeks once I get my capsicum annuum variety started, and I'll go over those with you guys. Have a good night.